You ready? It's close enough to 7. Call the meeting to order of the, what is today, January 14th meeting of the Town of Haymarket Planning Commission. Roll call, please.
Glenn?
Here.
There.
Here.
Where?
Here.
And Rollins.
Here. We have one absent due to the flu. Public hearing this evening. At this point in time, I'll open the public hearing for a zoning text amendment to the B1 district. Specifically, Marshall, do you have it written on here?
I'm sorry.
I'm
A
losing
public
the-
hearing for a funeral home use in the B1
Okay.
zoning district.
So there's the change of 58-176, correct?
Yes.
Open the public hearing. Invite those in favor and in opposition. Please come forward.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, my name is Cliff Blasius. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you this evening. As you know from previous meetings, I am interested in building a funeral home in Haymarket. I would like to familiarize you with some of the things that go into a successful operation of a funeral home. I would also like to suggest that all of the concerns that we expressed at the last Planning Commission meeting can be addressed by our revised submittal to the Town Council, suggesting that the town permit a mortuary and funeral home by special use permit. The B1 zoning for the town of Haymarket provides that, quote, the town center district B1 provides primarily for retail shopping and personal services uses to be developed either as a unit or in the individual parcels orientated to attracting pedestrian shoppers, tourism, and local convenience. I'd like you to remember those two terms, personal services and local conveniences. We believe that with proper controls and the cooperation development effort, your purposes can be advanced and the community may meet a need. Location, facility, and staff are probably the most important parts of this particular business. Take any one of them out of them, and you don't have a successful business. Location. According to a survey by the National Funeral Directors Association, 78% of the families choose a funeral home because of its location. Some of the major factors in choosing a location are convenience to home, not on a busy highway, easy in and out of the facility, and sufficient parking once they arrive. We all know that any kind of business will bring about traffic. Haymarket and Washington Street in particular provides easy access. The location that I have under contract is convenient for families of Haymarket and the Gainesville area and meet the criteria for the location of our business. We have long known how to manage our parking and traffic requirements in a funeral home. The Haymarket zoning ordinance for parking in a funeral home is unsurprisingly outdated. The current requirement was apparently left in the ordinance when it was amended to eliminate mortuaries sometime in the past. Using the 1 car per 200 square foot rule, we would be required now to have 50 parking places for a 10,000 square foot building. We are proposing, however, about 2.5 times that amount. Our facility will have 128 to 130 parking places for families once they arrive. This is very important for the success of our business. We are aware of the current ordinance requirements regarding location of parking and will work out with the town during site planning to accommodate those requirements. As for ingress and egress during the funeral, we will line the cars up in our parking lot and have escorts from the Sheriff's Department and hopefully the town police. We will move cars out of the parking lot in a group and on the way in a procession. It takes only a few minutes to move out of the town. The people who attend funerals do not arrive all at once. Therefore, in my long experience, in this business, that people arrive and leave, traffic is very manageable. It is very similar to a church service on a Sunday morning, but unlike such uses as a daycare where everybody arrives at once for drop-off or pickup. Our facility, proposed, will be of brick and will keep in the charm and character of the town of Haymarket. Our chapel will be large enough to allow for most funerals and will seat 175 people. Other rooms small enough to meet the requirements of other families. Much larger funerals with more people are customarily held in a sizable church. The entrance to the funeral home will continue with the design of Washington Street, and the grounds will be landscaped to exceed the minimum requirements of the ARB. We intend to provide the town of Haymarket a facility that will stand out and make them just as proud as we are. The facility must be large enough to be usable and yet keep in design with the local surroundings. As far as the staff, I will be operating the facility on a daily basis. I've been a licensed funeral director in both Virginia and New York for the past 36 years. I've owned and operated Blazers Baker Funeral Home in Manassas, and most of my 36 years have been down here in Virginia. Serving families, preparation of deceased, arranging and directing a funeral are only a part of the job of a good funeral director. He or she must become involved with part of the communities they serve. They must go beyond their work hours and help others. During my time of owning and operating Blazers Baker Funeral Home, I took a very active part in the community. I am the past president of the Kiwanis Club, past president of the Boys and Girls Club, a founding member and present president of the Manassas City Manassas Park Crime Solvers, former board member of the Chamber of Commerce, member of Manassas Lodge, Kena Shrine, and probably others that I have not mentioned. I've collected toys at Christmas for the community and delivered them to the Hurricane Andrew victims in Florida and flood victims in West Virginia. Gave all the senior citizens free movies once a month for many years, and played Santa Claus in the Christmas parade in Manassas. This takes not just my work, but the work of a dedicated staff that is also active in the community. The people in my business are interested in the places that they live and work, and we wish to join the Haymarket community and become a part of that. Personal service and local convenience. I mentioned that to you earlier. I suggest that the location of a funeral home in your town will provide personal service and local convenience to the community that your ordinance contemplates. It is therefore a fitting use of the B1 property. Indeed, it is hard to imagine anything more personal than being involved in caring for a deceased family member. There is nothing more personal than helping and caring for someone on the worst day of their life. Not to mention having to travel 15 miles to another community for a funeral home to make arrangements, hold a visitation, and a funeral. This is surely a local convenience, and it will be one of those for the citizens of Haymarket. Already allowed under the use regulations of the B1 district is office, general business, or professional, as well as private club lodges and meeting halls. A funeral director is a professional, and the funeral home surely is a meeting hall. It becomes the major gathering place for friends and relatives to come to honor and pay tribute to when someone dies. In fact, it is one of the few times in life when an invitation is not required, but all are welcome. A funeral home is a quiet business, unlike others that are permitted by right in the B1 zone. It does not generate noise, even with a large number of people in attendance. People are in a quiet, solemn state when attending a funeral. Although many may attend, they come and go individually, not as one large group. Traffic will not be stacked up, as is often found in the daycare, nursery school, or child care centers, which are all permitted in the B1 zone. Our business does not disturb the neighborhood. There are not a lot of pickups or deliveries. Not a lot of people congregating or making noise late at night, as would be a restaurant or a bar. People come and go individually and not as one large group. Funeral home vehicles come into the property, pull into a garage, and close the door. You'll never see loading or unloading of the loved ones or flowers being placed into a flower van. That will all be done inside the garages. Our vehicles are parked inside at night. A casket truck will make deliveries perhaps a few times a week. Usually this vehicle is a box truck, not much bigger than a UPS truck, and surely not a tractor trailer by any means. Flowers generally come in a small van. Other sundries are delivered by UPS. You need only look at other funeral homes to know that this facility and its landscaping will be kept spotless and well maintained at all times. Most funeral homes are immaculate. A funeral home in the town of Haymarket will promote other businesses in the town. Families usually go out for dinner between the afternoon and evening visitation or after a funeral. Melanie's, your local florist, will benefit. Restaurants and other businesses will benefit. Some people will travel a little longer and require the purchase of gasoline before getting back on the road, thereby increasing local service station business. It is for these reasons that I would ask you to recommend approval of the zoning text amendment to permit a funeral home in the B1 zone. Our business would showcase the town of Haymarket to friends of the families that may have come here from other communities to visit. I know from my many years in the business that a funeral home becomes a personal service meeting hall, one that is necessary and positively affects the entire town's economy. Please take these factors into your thoughts when voting for this amendment. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak? Okay. Chris is not here tonight, and he had some significantly different opinions than everybody else, if I recall correctly, from last month. Significantly different questions. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the hearing open until next month, and I'm going to defer action on it until next month when Chris is here so that we can have the entirety of the board consider it, hopefully.
Can I be heard briefly, Mr. Chairman?
Certainly.
One of the things I want to make clear is that when we were here last time, we were proposing this as a used car right. My name's John Foote. You probably are aware, although there was some confusion in the preparation of the packet, we have modified that entirely. It is now solely the solely the mortuary funeral home by special use permit. That's all that is being proposed, and I want to be sure that you're aware that you do that.
I am aware of that, and it's one of the reasons I want to hold it over so that Chris can have the opportunity to review. So if there's no...
Is this our time if we would like to, I guess, voice concerns or questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I am a resident of the town, and I do live in Green Hill Crossing. I live fairly close to the...
Could we have your name and address, please?
Yes, sorry.
I know where you are.
My first time here. My first name is Sheridan. It's Sheridan, and the last name is King, King. And my address is 6801 St. Paul Drive. So we moved here in 2003, and one of the things that was very appealing to us was the thought that this town would evolve into the walking town that we've heard about since we've moved here. And in that time that we've moved here, there have been occasions that we've been able to walk into town, but my concern with a business such as this, or any other business that's going to go closer to our end of town, is that at that point there will be no walking town for us. We don't walk into town now unless the road is closed for Haymarket Day or a special occasion, because the sidewalk there between St. Paul Drive and town is very narrow. I have a 9 and a 12-year-old kids. They're not allowed to walk into town by themselves. I'm not concerned necessarily about the kind of people that are in town. I feel like we have a safe area. But from a traffic standpoint, there's no way I would let them come in, and we don't like to walk in as a family. There are mornings when I leave my house that traffic is backed up from the light at the center of town to my road, and sometimes before. On a Saturday, it can be the same. And, I know that the town did not have, it was not the town's decision to place Walmart where it is now, but that has dramatically increased the traffic into town. I have options as to getting in and out of my driveway, but I'm very concerned about parking. It sounds like there would be adequate parking, but if there's overflow, where does the overflow plan to go? I know whenever there's a town event, people park on our street, and I don't like having people that I don't know parked up and down our street. And there are days, Haymarket Day, our street is jammed all the way down to the end of the street. So I'm very concerned about the traffic impact and just the impact on additional people in town. I like living here. I like having the ability to walk into town, and it's my hope that someday that the town will be developed so that we can walk in. But right now, I don't see that, and this is a huge concern. It sounds like it would look nice, and I don't know what else could be planned to go into this spot, but this would directly impact me where I live, what I see on a daily basis, and the traffic that I deal with on a daily basis. And it's gotten worse, as the days go by. So it's a huge concern to me.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak?
I'm Susan Zupan, and I live at 14942 Green Hill Crossing Drive. I would just second exactly what Sheridan expressed. We live at the corner of St. Paul and Green Hill Crossing. I do take exception to the statement that traffic would be manageable, because what we are finding as a community, traffic is not manageable now on Route 55. I'm finding the same thing that Sheridan discussed. There are days when you can't get out onto 55 from our neighborhood, and that's not at high peak times when there are people coming out of the preschool, church, the vet. It's just general traffic flow. I agree that there has been a major increase in the volume of traffic, as I think 55 is now being used as a cut-through to get to the other side, to Walmart and the businesses on this side. And I guess my question would be to you is, how does a funeral home fit into the vision of a walking town at Haymarket? For me, that's not, I know funeral homes are necessary. I know it's a business. I know that it has an important job to do. But as far as our vision for our town, my question would be to you, how does that fit in to what we're looking to do in Haymarket?
Thank you. Anybody else? If there's no opposition, I'm going to hold the hearing open until next Planning Commission meeting, which is February 14th? 11? February 11. And we'll defer action until that date. Announcements. ARB liaison?
I was not at the last meeting, so
There's no announcement.
there's no announcements.
Are you doing announcements or number 7?
I put those under announcements.
Well, according to the agenda.
Well, I'm on announcements first. You give me the update later.
No
Do you have
announcements.
anything? No announcements? Okay. Citizens time. Anybody wish to address the Planning Commission? Seeing none, we'll close citizens time. Minutes.
Motion
Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes from December 10th, 2012.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Just tell me if I'm going too fast for you. Zoning permit applications, 15004 Gotham Manor Drive, deck. Mr. Schneider.
Chairman, this is a request for a deck within our R2 zoning district. It meets or is subject to the provision of 58-15B, and this request does meet that ordinance standard.
I'll entertain a motion.
I motion to approve zoning permit application for 15004 Gotham Manor Drive under 15B.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
That's it.
15161 Washington Street, the U-Haul.
Yes, sir. This is a recent application. It's actually been a use that's been running in town for a while. They've submitted their application. We would likely put this use under, excuse me just a second. Chairman, I just lost it.
58, 258, 14?
58,257,
258.
258.
It's industrial, isn't it?
Why is my district
258-14, isn't it?
what I've
58-258? Okay, my ordinance is, hold on. Thank you very much. Equipment storage yard, plants, and rental of equipment commonly used by contractors. As a special use permit in the I-1 district, there are additional requirements, such as site plan, stormwater management plan, lights, and the like. That is a challenge for this application, given that it's one of our legacy users in town. That is, many of the uses there are not subject to our current ordinance standard. We could, through special exception, require a public hearing. The commission could certainly look into dealing with the site-specific issues with this. There's one of multiple users on the property. The parking's kind of in a strange configuration. There is a current application under review for a soccerplex in the front of the building that also has a site plan requirement that could possibly accommodate this use. But anyway, I'd be happy to answer any questions, but the action would be to go ahead and schedule the public hearing for next month.
If there's no objection, I would direct the clerk to publish a notice for public hearing for this under 258/14. That being said, I would ask that Marchant or staff, would you please return the zoning permit application to the applicant and have them fill it out correctly and get some sense of what they want to do about site plan and stormwater, whether it's going to be on a part of a comprehensive plan or it's going to be piecemeal, sort of get a sense from where they want to go with this. And they're going to need to get together with the property owner to develop some sort of consensus. I would suggest that at this point, I don't know that I'm terribly amenable to granting a special use application or suggesting that we approve a special use application for more than a one-year period until we get a handle on what they want to do about their other site requirements. So if you could make the applicant aware of that, get him to correct his paperwork where he's got the wrong stuff checked off, and we'll have a public hearing next month and go from there.
Okay. Will do, Mr. Chair.
If there's no objection.
Motion to amend the agenda.
There's a motion to amend the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
I'd like to add, before you second it, I'd like to add zoning permit 2013-0109 for 6611 Jefferson Street for a Life and Balance Counseling Center.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Can I have the application, please? This one. Life and Balance Counseling Center.
Mr. Chairman, this would be in the,
6611.
I forget the name of that building now. It's behind the Red House Ordinary. It's where
The old Shepherd Church,
Correct.
Shepherd of the Hills Church building.
That's the one.
And this would be a permitted use under Section 58-1779, subsection 9, office, general business, or professional. 58-177, subsection 9.
This is a straight zoning permit application.
Correct. It still would need to go to town council for approval, but it is permitted under the ordinance.
Entertain a motion?
Well, for others, you've had them draw pictures of where they are in the building and show that. Is that forthcoming for the file? Or?
I have not seen the application, so we can certainly make that a requirement of them.
They're just taking over office space, correct?
We've done it for all of the other buildings, though.
What we have done recently, what we found is we were unable to track where everyone was in the building. And at some point, you got to make sense. Does it make sense to have so many tenants in a building that's significantly smaller than can handle that many tenants?
In that case,
What's happened is businesses have turned over time.
Right.
So just a matter of tracking it. So yes, as part of maybe as part of the condition of it going to the council, that they provide a more detailed.
Well, so you want to do you want to do that, or do you want to review it first?
No, it's just, so we have,
So we know what's there.
so we have a cute little map
Yeah.
in the folder if we need be.
Want to make
so.
that part of your motion?
You the applicants by any chance? Okay.
Does that make sense what we're asking for? Oh, sure. It's where you're in the building, you're not double slotted with the jazzercise, trying to do jazzercise while you're doing counseling. Probably wouldn't work.
Well, that was the other thing, is this is a 40-hour-a-week business as opposed to, because down in the basement, there's a lot going on in the basement down there.
Point.
You make that sound sinister.
Anyway,
Not intentionally.
Okay, so entertain a motion.
I
Madam
motion
Bear.
I motion to approve zoning permit ZP 20130109 for 6611 Jefferson Street for Life and Balance Counseling Center under 58-177-9 with the condition they give us that nice little building map.
Prior to town council,
Yes.
is there a second?
Which is the 4th of February? A second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Obviously, we have no ARB update. Do we have a council update, or is there one?
Questions?
Why haven't you given us?
We're going to talk about council later on anyway.
Council heard Bob's presentation on the historic overlay district, and the mayor had asked that it be sent to ARB for their consideration, but I will poll council at our next meeting to get their opinion as we have asked for.
Okay.
Any questions about council?
I have none, but thanks for asking.
New business. Funeral home's been deferred until next month. Town planner report.
Yes, sir. Before the ARB this week, and sorry to trump the report. Sorry about that. They'll be looking at two applications. One will be for rebuilding of the sheets, reconstruction, total raising of the building, reconstruction, and also a refacing of the McDonald's. What I have instructed them to do as part of those ARB packages is to include their sign plan. Under today's standards, neither building we don't address the signage they even have out there today. So the intent of suggesting that they do that is at some point where the council makes a decision about the historic district, if we come back to the commission with some suggestions revising the sign ordinance, you'll have an idea of what the industry is looking for and whether or not that is compatible with what the image that we're trying to see for the town. So, or the size requirements that we'd like to see for our businesses moving forward.
Right.
So, what the ARB would look at would be simply the style and the aesthetics, but ultimately the commission would have to approve any sign package that goes with it. But again, just had it included just for reference purposes and getting an idea of what they would like to see.
Right, and actually, I was at that meeting, it's the next meeting I'm not going to be at. So, they did come up, there are some dramatic increases in lighted signs. McDonald's wants to put a swoosh on their building. It's the Nike swoosh by any other name.
Trademark, they better be careful.
It's not trademark, and I asked them about that. It's a building feature. It is not part of the trademark, but it is not negotiable. It's part of their new facade on all of their buildings. So
Wait, back up. It's not negotiable?
I don't think that one's negotiable, yeah. What kind of time frame are we on for that? Do we even know?
Okay.
On either one of those? Do we know what kind of time frame you're on?
Sheets, I think they wanted to get the tenor of the ARB as to what they would require. If they get through the ARB, I think they'll be submitting plans soon. Probably the next.
That'd be full-blown site plans.
And it's total closure for several months, correct? Is that?
Correct. What's unclear, my assumption is that they'll run the pumps while just do the debit and credit card thing.
Right.
The storage thing. Did they give you some other indication?
No, I think it was a staggered. and they want to move more towards food and away from the gas. They want to bring in the full sit-outside restaurant, all of that kind of thing. So it's a much larger footprint that they want to put back there. But it's towards the back of the property, but they are bringing in a much larger building, redoing where the pumps are, and it's a complete change of
We'll redesign the traffic flow, I'm assuming?
Correct, it does a better job of trying.
There is, yeah, we talked about that earlier on.
There's
Yeah.
less canopy.
You consolidate the two canopies, you're not having the two side by side, you'd have them under one. And you'd actually be able to get around the building, and travel way around the building, back to that road where Pickle Lodge is.
So the combination of both of those things is going to be helpful to that whole corner, I would think.
Correct. And now
You
they
were
are-
talking about a second drive-through lane at the McDonald's, correct? Isn't that
Well,
where we were at with that?
That was not part of the facade change. They didn't want to talk about the stacking issues with the facade change, because it is, they're really looking at it as a cosmetic change. They're rebranding a lot of the, not rebranding, but changing the look of a lot of the McDonald's, and this is part of that.
But yes, they're certainly going to submit a plan. Right now, our ordinance says a maximum of stacking spaces. We've previously
Really needs to be
recommended that we
minimum.
change that to say a minimum.
Right.
And obviously the signs with both. As I mentioned earlier, we do have a site plan in review right now for the Soccerplex and the Durham building.
Okay.
We also have Haymarket Baptist Church. They were involved in one of the suits regarding streetscape, specifically with regards to what we would require in terms of streetscape as part of the site plan. That was settled. They have resubmitted along with the rezoning. This property is split zone. The Baptist Church is split zone. Right here. This is the planned land use map, but right now these three parcels are R1, and this parcel is B2. We have buffers against residential to commercial, so just to make life easier, is that just make it all one zoning district, and it saves you having to ask for all kinds of waivers and exceptions. Essentially, they want to expand the chapel area, add parking, permanent paid parking to the facility. So that'll be coming to you in a couple of months.
On that one, since they're going to go through the process of rezoning that parcel, is there any thought to a lot consolidation?
That's part of it. That's what we
Oh, yes.
said. They were already offering to consolidate it, which made it even more problematic having
Split
split
zoning.
zoning on a single parcel.
Okay. So they would consolidate it into into one lot, so we can get away from a lot of the issues that we've had in the past?
Correct. Now, we're not expecting proffers or anything like that. It's simply trying to resolve the conflict on there. They've already gotten their preliminary plan approved. They're going through a site plan. They're in their final site plan now, so this would come to you as the final
Is
site.
it substantively different than the preliminary?
No. They are under a previous iteration of the zoning ordinance with regards to lot coverage. And that was one of the determinations that was made as part of the negotiation for the lawsuit. So
So that's been,
it's been resolved.
so there's a binding,
They had asked, as part of the settlement, they had asked for a formal determination from the town council on several issues. One was the requirement for streetscape improvements. One was going to be the lot coverage requirement, and then the front yard setback. We had opinions on all three of those.
and that will be part of the packet, I'm assuming?
Correct.
Okay.
Trying to think what else to tell you. There's been some interest in the Robinson's Paradise property. Looking at redeveloping that site, we'll see. We've had some preliminary meetings, and that may come to you as a rezoning in the next couple of months. Haven't heard anything from Pace West in terms of what the demise of that is. Also, the firehouse. The firehouse went out for an RFI, request for information, and several people that have put interest in that property have not been able to get any kind of answer from the county as to what the status of their review is of the RFIs.
Has staff asked for that?
What's that?
Has staff asked for a copy of the RFI?
I've asked for a
material?
copy. What we've been told is that since part of the RFIs included offers to purchase the property, that those could not be provided to us because it was somehow compromised.
That may very well be so, but I mean, that should be redacted from the request.
Okay, we can ask
Have
for
they
it again.
formally refused, or just,
I think they formally refused the mayor, and they've more or less verbally refused me, but I can ask for if there's a possibility for a redacted one.
Councilwoman Bear, I would suggest that the planning staff makes the request of the county. In the Commonwealth, that constitutes a FOIA request, and if they haven't responded appropriately with either a yes, no, or here's what you're entitled to with appropriate redaction, I think somebody from the town council or we don't have a town manager currently, but somebody should probably respond to that and
On it.
pursue the matter, because I don't think we can make any decisions about. We don't have the authority to make any decisions, but it would be nice to know what's going on over there, given everything that's being developed around it. So,
All right, I think I'm sorry, when I said formal denial, the mayor, he sent an email. He sent an email back saying we're not going to give it to you because it involves offers to purchase and we don't want to compromise our.
Contract negotiations.
was that in the form of just an email from some staffer?
Yes,
Did it have the appropriate language in it?
we shall see.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
We'll send a new one and ask again.
The council a couple of months ago approved the temporary occupancy of Snyder Baseball moving from where Jumpin' Jimmy's the next level is to the back building where Rose Roofing is. They've finalized their contracts with the engineer. They've been out there doing site surveys, so hopefully sooner rather than later they'll be moving forward on that. That would require improvements to that property where Next Level Fitness is, and also improvements to the Rose property. So other than that, Holly is here and can answer any questions that you have about ongoing engineering projects.
Mr. Lowry is expected back when?
We do not have an
We do not
ETA.
have an ETA.
But we do have a contract for someone to step in right now and review in lieu of his.
We
On a
have a
case-by-case basis.
Yeah, we
If
have
it's
a-
anything that's already started in the process, they're not, we can't use our new company. So
Okay. I'm
Well,
sorry.
I've got somebody who approached me yesterday who's been looking for a final for 6 months to a year.
Okay.
All his fees are paid, all of his stuff. He just doesn't have his final inspection. And he'd like to sort of just put that to bed so that if there's ever any question with regard to his assessment on his house or he wishes to sell it, everything's there. It's simply, I think all they need is an inspection of the basement for the close end on the electrical and everything. If we could touch base or have somebody touch base with me on how he's supposed to get this done, because apparently he's left several messages from Mr. Lowry over the last several months and has not been,
You know the property off the top of your head, property
or
address?
do you want to discuss this offline?
get to me offline, because
Okay.
I can pull the address off the map.
Okay.
I don't know it off the top of my head.
Offline, there may be a solution. So.
It works for me.
Sorry, I'm done with my rambling. Any questions you have about what's going on?
Nothing for Holly? John Marshall Commons.
That was the development I described to you. There hasn't been any movement on that recently. That's the development on the east side of town, on the other side of Pace West School, and multifamily in townhomes.
Have we gotten, speaking of 1 Mile Development, have we gotten any additional requests or information from the county with regard to the Haymarket School site?
Other than just the original site plan, we haven't gotten anything else from them.
Is that going to go through the formal process similar to a land use application, or are they just going to do it?
That's the by right site plan, so
Yeah.
we were simply given the opportunity to comment on the site plan.
Courtesy comments? Have we supplied any courtesy comments on that?
I have not yet, but we can. I mean, we talked about before, there was some question about doing some proper audits and some other things about the requirements.
Okay, old business, 14830 Jordan Lane, the new house. Mr. Schneider.
This came before you several months ago. This was a single-family detached dwelling on Jordan Lane. This property was subdivided from the county parcel probably about a year and a half ago. It was this property right.
It's the residual property from
There.
Piedmont Use.
So all these buildings no longer exist. That property's been subdivided off. There's houses being built as part of Piedmont Use. This became its own lot. The question we brought to your attention last fall was stormwater management. Question about stormwater management. Holly worked directly with the Dries company to deal with that issue, and it's come to a conclusion. online, and Holly's here to answer any questions, but it's ready for the commission's action. That was a grading plan that was tied to the zoning permit for the house, and we've approved the grading plan, and it's ready to go forward.
I'll entertain a motion.
There's no contingencies we need to add to this, just motion to approve.
Correct. The council will we have the plats, and we can certainly reference the plat date and times, but we're going to have that as part of the council's final motion.
What code section does this go under?
This would go under the R1 district. Excuse me just a second. 58-52, subsection 1. Single-family dwelling.
This is on motion to recommend approval, correct?
Correct.
I motion to recommend approval of zoning permit ZP 2012-0815 for 14830 Jordan Lane under 58-52-1.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Let's move it on. Today is the 14th.
All day?
Last two things on the agenda, comp plan and zoning text amendments. Comp plan, I'm assuming we haven't moved any further and are on hold. Zoning text amendments, and I'll throw in that with that CLG. As Rebecca stated, gave a report to the town council on the concerns we had with CLG regarding the map. Everybody's got a copy of the presentation material, so let's run through it real quick. First page is the immediate problems that jumped out at everybody, and I think that's sort of the baseline issue that we have to get past before we could do any further work on this. If I remember correctly, there was some consensus that unless the map is somehow modified, pursuing CLG is probably dead in the water, and I don't think anybody really felt like they were going to waste a whole lot of time researching, reviewing, and making a recommendation until that baseline question was answered. That's followed by a page on some of the issues, historic and otherwise, regarding the historic district map, particularly with regard to statute, which is the third page. The fourth page is a list of the certified local governments in Virginia. You'll note that there are 10 towns that are CLG jurisdictions. We have the maps for each one of those, except for the town of Pulaski, which apparently only has one copy of that map, and it's a piece of paper that doesn't fax well, so I unfortunately couldn't get you a copy of that from them. I think if you look at these maps, it's somewhat interesting in that, by and large, the historic districts are a relatively small portion of the overall geographic area of the town, with two distinct exceptions. The first being Abingdon, which is roughly, 40% of the town. Blacksburg is a minute section. Cape Charles, it looks to be about 15%. Culpeppers is tiny. If it's 2%, I'd be shocked. Herndon's is spread in 3 different sections of the town, and overall probably doesn't constitute more than 2 or 3%. Leesburg is relatively large, but again, on an overall scale, if it's 2 or 3% of the entirety of the area of the town, I'd be shocked. Middleburg, surprisingly, looks to be only about 1/3, and that's the business corridor. You'll note that the residential sections in Leesburg are outside of the district. Percival's is relatively small, yada, 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 yada. Last couple of pages are some potential benefits that they've been apprised of, and some baseline text from last year. At this point in time, until we get an answer from council, or at least an indication from council as to whether or not they're willing to consider a reduction or some modification of the historic district boundaries, I think we just table the zoning text amendments and further consideration of the CLG to a date uncertain until we get an answer back, and just leave it sitting on old business until that date, if there's no objection.
No objection.
Seeing that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I hear a second? All in favor?
Aye.
So you guys just came by to visit?
Yes and no.
No?